everyone, this is Grace from gbmaltese, and I wanted to share with you a couple of things I've colored since the last time I talked to you. This is another card from the box that Dearly Crafted sent to me. I just loved this. May God's kindness and love always be with you, and hopefully that message will follow you always. What I did here is this part right here I did in colored pencil, and the rest of it is done in gel pen. I actually used the Jelly Roll gel pens because I found them. I've had them for years and years. I thought, I wonder if they still work. Yeah, they do. So I thought I'd show you that. And I have another one I want to show you. I did a larger one because she kind of cranked up my coloring, wanting to color again, sending me these cards. And thank you so much, Dearly, because I do enjoy my coloring, just haven't done it in a while. And here's another one that I colored. This is from Hannah Lynn. She is one of my favorite coloring book artists. This one says, encourage others. And I forget which book this was in, but I own several of her books and PDFs. I shop on her website, and I did this part, the girls and their hair and the moon, I did with colored pencil. Not sure how well you can see it. And then I did the plant life with colored pencil. I did the shooting star with my Jelly Rolls, and I did the bubble looking things with the Jelly Roll. The clouds I did with pastels. I enjoy using mixed media. And then my Jelly Roll up here. And I've really been enjoying doing my coloring along with diamond painting. And I also enjoy doing crochet. So if you're interested in me doing a color along or showing you how, I have tons of coloring supplies. So if you're interested in seeing those, I've had them for years, and I have quite a collection of coloring books, pencils, and other knickknacks that I use when I color. So I'm getting back into doing that. So if you're interested, I would enjoy sharing my coloring with you also, as well as some of my crochet. But I'm here to diamond paint with you today. And I'm going to be working on this beautiful rose painting that I showed you in an unboxing. So I'm going to put these to the side, but I really have enjoyed that. May have to frame those. Maybe a collage with the cards I think would be pretty, maybe. Anyway, as you can see, I have been working on the black background while I'm not on camera, because I figured you would not want to watch that so much as when I'm doing the rhinestone. And I did do some of the rhinestones off camera. I couldn't resist. I did some of the purple ones because that was number one, but I'm going to do some reds today. But isn't it beautiful? I did a few down there also. You're looking at it upside down. I'm working from the top to the bottom right now. So let me put this down so that we don't have a lot of blinking and all kinds of stuff going on here. And get you focused about where I'm going to be working. I'm going to be working on the red dots. Well, they're white dots, but the color is red today. And when I showed about cutting the plastic covers, I don't cut mine, but some people like to cut them. And I showed about using parchment paper. Well, I didn't even think about lying a piece of parchment paper down on the parts where I might be lying my arm, but someone did, and I'm like, thank you so much. So when you're working on certain areas of your partial, or the ones with the clear canvas, you can put this down so you don't stick your hand and you're tray and your drills and everything else in there. So this is the color I'm going to work with today. This is number 6. And it are these little dots. There are some plus signs and dots in here of some different reds. Ooh, oh, so pretty. Let me close this so I don't lose any. These have been very nice to work with. They really have. Look at the sparkle. And sometimes I shake while it's laying down. Sometimes I pick it up. And then when I'm ready to go to get it to the bottom, I lean it back and to the side a little bit and tap some to be able to get some rows or lines, I guess you could say, to start doing my painting. So, I don't have my light board on. Someone said that the light board kind of interferes with you being able to see. So let me know if this is okay for you, if you can see. I also turned my automatic autofocus off because I had a couple of people, along with myself, when I was looking back at it, it kept going in and out of focus. It was driving me crazy, so I know it had to drive anybody watching it crazy. So I am going to do it this way and see how it works. Also, please let me know if you are having trouble hearing me. Someone mentioned that, and I'm trying to decide whether I need to invest in a microphone or not so that you can hear me. So here we go. I got a kick out of one of the comments I got on my last Come Diamond Paint With Me, because someone mentioned, because I asked what kinds of videos that you liked, and someone commented, and I've gotten to where I'm just going to laugh at these kinds of comments. More tips and less boring chatter. I thought that was hilarious. Evidently this person does not know that that's what I do on my Come Paint With Me, is I chatter. I talk with you guys, and this is the kind of video many of you said you enjoyed watching, so that's why I do them. And I enjoy making them, just to kind of tell you about what's going on, things maybe that I've experienced. And if you have comments about something, you can put below. But just remember, when you make a comment, someone is going to be reading it, and that person has feelings. But this time I just laughed. You guys help me to learn not to worry about it, just laugh about it. Some people just don't have, I guess, manners or whatever. I'm trying to turn this, get this where you can see where I'm working at a little better. Because I'm going to be working around and in here. So I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. And I hope that this will relax you. I do these so that you can be working on your painting and not be alone. Because when I'm talking to you guys, I picture that there is someone sitting beside me, even though it's just my camera. And that I'm hoping that it will bring you some, I don't know, maybe not happiness, but a little bit of togetherness, that we are sitting together diamond painting, because it's no fun doing things alone, which I do this most of the time is by myself. Well, I do have my dog in here, but he's sleeping. He likes to sleep. Oh, so tomorrow is the 4th of July. As of right now, I really don't have any plans. Do any of you have plans? Just, probably, my husband is off tomorrow, so that's a good thing. I'll be glad for him to be home. So, I don't know if we'll do anything special. Probably not. He is in the midst of some of his bird watching right now. We have a lot of birds. hatching out. We've had a ton of them hatch out in the last probably 2 to 3 weeks. A lot of martins. Do any of you out there watch purple martins? Those are his, well, I don't know if they're his favorite. They're one of his favorites, and he loves bluebirds. We have a pair of bluebirds that are getting ready to nest for their 3rd time. I think if I was the female, I'd say, okay, honey, that's enough. You sit in this hot box for a while. I'm just waiting for the day my husband says, okay, we're going to put little air conditioners in here for these birds that are sitting late. He worries about the birds a lot. But it's a good hobby for him. I mean, I've got my diamond painting, I've got my crochet, I've got my coloring, and he also has been feeding these raccoons, and we have a couple of gray foxes that come in the back every evening, and we put food out there for them. And the raccoon has gotten to where sometimes he's up on the porch outside the back door waiting on him. It's just amazing. I'll watch out the window so I don't scare it away. And my husband will go out there, and he can get, you know, within at least 3 feet, maybe closer, I don't know. And he just tosses some food to it, and it just picks it up and eats it. It's really cute. And he enjoys doing that, so that is good for him. I enjoy watching it come out there. I don't go look out the window all the time because I don't want to scare him off. Because if you make a movement, he's used to Jerry, my husband, but not so much me. I keep telling him, don't get too close, he might bite. You know, he's still a wild animal, even though he seems to have taken to my husband like a child. He enjoys being able to be fed all the time. So he doesn't have to go out looking for food. He's got his daddy. I call him Bird Daddy already. I'm not sure. He may have to just be Nature Daddy or something. I don't know, because and this is from a man who used to fish and hunt all the time, but he hasn't done that in quite some time, the hunting part anyway. Fishing, I think I've told y'all this before, he hasn't really enjoyed fishing since his dad died, which was in 2009. His dad died about 6 months after my mom died, so that was a rough year. My mom was April 2009, his dad was October 2009. So that was not a good year for us. And a lot of you have mentioned your losses, and as we know, they're with us forever and always, and they never leave us. They'll always be there, and we'll always miss them. How can you not? Someone who's been there since the beginning of your life, well, even before. I remember when, well, I don't remember it, but when I was about 2 years old, I'm not sure if I was over 2 or how old I was, but my mom told me the story because I don't remember it. Anyway, I have scars on me, and you can't see it real well, but I have a scar right here. You can kind of see it in there on my arm. It's scarred. I have some scarring down my neck and down on my chest a little bit, and a little bit on my face. When I was 2, my mom said that I reached up and pulled a cup full of coffee, hot coffee, on myself. Well, immediately I was burnt. So my mom and dad rushed me to the hospital, wherever they took me. And The doctor wanted to hospitalize me, and my mom said, no, I will care for her. She didn't want to put me in anyone else's care but her own. I think she was feeling a bit guilty, and she had no reason to. She had 3 other kids besides me. She had my 2 older brothers and my younger sister. She's 14 months younger than I am, so she would have been just a little infant. So all I know is that for 2 days, or 2 or 3, it might have been longer, and nights, she held me in her lap, holding a cloth around, kind of around me, to keep any air or anything from touching me or blowing on me. And the doctor only let her do that because they used to make house calls back in the day. And he said that if he had not seen how clean she kept her house and didn't know what kind of person she was, he would have never let her do that. But she took care of me, and I healed up. And she told me for years that that area would stay white. It would never tan. I don't remember any of that part at all. So I don't know how long, because when you're a child, you don't notice that. And, you know, that might have been something I just blocked out of my memory. Sometimes we have things happen to us, and we just kind of block it out. So that was something I don't remember at all. And I'm not a real big coffee drinker. I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not, but I like hot tea, but I've never been real big into coffee. But it could be because I'm not supposed to drink caffeine. It gives all kinds of weird things happen. So I have drunk decaf coffee, but I have to have something in it. Some kind of a sweetener. I used to put cream, but I know that was a lot of extra. I mean, when it's all fixed up like that, yeah, it's good. I can drink it like that. It's delicious. But I just don't. I drink mostly herbal teas. But now that it's so hot, I'm drinking water, and I've been mixing mine. I used to mix it with Crystal Light all the time, but now I have been using this stuff called Stura, I think it's the name, S-T-U-R-A. Shoot, I can't remember. Anyway, it is sweetened with stevia, which is a natural sweetener, so it's supposed to be better for you. It has no calories, so sometimes I drink just plain water, and other times I mix it up so I have another taste, but very seldom drink anything else. That's what I enjoy drinking most of the time. In this heat, I think I'm going to need to go and get more popsicles. It's so hot, and the humidity is what is so bad. It'll show that it's 92 degrees, but the heat index, because of the humidity, will be 111, 100 to 116, 114, and we have heat advisories. I don't get out very often because of that, plus my allergies. And when I had my allergies tested many years ago, they found I was allergic to pretty much everything, every tree that's out there, grass. So, going outside sometimes can cause flare-ups with me having a harder time breathing, that kind of thing. Not much fun, so don't like to get into that situation. And okay, let's move up here. These are just so beautiful. I am really enjoying this. As I had said when I did my unboxing, these roses, they remind me so much of my mom. She always had a rose garden. My dad would grow other things, but my mom, roses were her favorite flower. She always had roses, and my daddy always had a garden. And I tell you what, it wasn't a little garden. When we're talking about a garden, we're talking about a garden that would feed a family of 20 because he would give a lot of the produce away. He was one of those people, he would give you the shirt off his back. He was not the easiest person to live with, but he had the biggest heart. He used to take the produce to widow ladies, and he would take them to the homeless shelters. He would donate all kinds of things like that. Fresh, oh, and the food from his garden was unbelievable. Just so good. He could grow any and everything. I'll never forget the year he grew some Brussels sprouts. He just wanted to try it. Those suckers on the stem of it, these balls grow all over the stems. I think I was in high school when he did that one, and I just laughed every time I saw it because that was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. I didn't know they grew like that. They grow right there on the stems, and those balls are just hanging out there on the stem, just waiting to be picked. My husband loves Brussels sprouts. Sometimes he'll want me to fix them for, I mean, it can be days on end. But we're not in the Brussels sprout mood right now. Thank God. We're eating things that are a little cooler. It's just so hot. Oh, this is so pretty. I just so much enjoy placing these down. On the black part, I've been using my multi-placer, but on this, I just want to enjoy placing these down. Well, they're not a whole bunch of them like straight in a row here either, so that makes it a little different. Okay, I can put this like this right here. I'll set that paper down for a minute. And let's see, I need to move you over some. Let's see what I can do here. So you can see me working in this area. Oh, tell you what, I'll put my paper down. And put the camera on that so it's not messing up with the canvas. Hold on, I'm making everybody sick doing this. Moving you around like that. Okay, I'm right here, so I think maybe you can see right there. Okay. Yeah. There we are. Okay, let's do this flower over here, and let's find the dots. Okay, we got a bunch of dots right here. Pretty white polka dots on red. Looks very pretty. Reminds me of Mickey Mouse. The red with black right next to each other. Here's one right here. I've gotten to where I do one color at a time because that way I'm not switching back and forth with colors just constantly. I'm able to use one color, one after another. And I just turn my canvas around and I can lie the parchment paper down and not get my hand stuck on anything. So okay, that's so pretty. Oh yeah, beautiful, just beautiful. As you can see, I always seem to gravitate towards my wooden pens. Okay, this one here is, I'm not going to use it because if you can see, it's got a little bit of silver or something on the top of it, so I don't want to, I only want to use the perfect ones. There we go. but I'm enjoying this one a lot. I really am. It's just this is just very relaxing to do. If you're watching this and never tried diamond painting, it really is relaxing. And so is coloring, crochet, and I'm sure whatever hobby you're doing. It's just find things to help you wind down. But I can be putting these down and just my mind just floats to all sorts of things. Thinking about all kinds of stuff. I know that I'm hoping that my daughter gets a break in work sometime soon so I can go visit her. We always have such a good time together. She lives a long ways. It takes me, probably 4.5 to 5 hours. Depends on traffic to get to her house. She's in Texas. Texas is just too darn big. Sorry. They should have maybe cut it into fourths or at least thirds so that you could at least say, well, I'm going to, and you know, whatever the name of the state is, and you don't have to spend 14 hours getting across the state, 14 hours or more. It takes all day to get across and you're worn out. And it's amazing how different it is from East Texas where I am with all these huge pine trees, and we have mostly pine trees. We have other trees also. We have all kinds of trees. But when you get to West Texas, there aren't trees. It's flat, and the trees that you do see are short. And I'm not used to that. So when we go through West Texas, I'm thinking, where are the trees? And I'm sure that if you're from West Texas and you come here, you're thinking, I feel closed in. Give me my open spaces. But it's amazing how in just one state you go from one big jump to another. Central Texas, we have the plains, and that's where North Texas, northern Texas, around Dallas and in the Panhandle, we have some of the roughest weather with the tornadoes and things. So I'm not in that area, and I'm very thankful. But when we have hurricanes, we're closer to Houston, so we will get some of the effects from the hurricane. Strong winds. We do get some strong winds here, which gets slowed down by a lot of the trees, but it also knocks down our trees, which is not a good thing because they fall on people's houses, their cars. It falls on our electric lines. You can be without power for days when it's if it's a really bad hurricane, because it tears everything up. You'll see electric lines lying on the ground just sparking. Scary. I do not like when we get a storm with high winds. Thunder and lightning don't bother me. Those high winds do, though, because I think about the tree limbs falling out of the trees or some of the trees falling over. We don't, we try not to, I've always tried not to have trees real close to the house, because that's a fear of mine, is having a tree fall on the house and it go all the way through, especially, you know, in the middle of the night while you're sleeping. That would be a scary thing, and it has happened to people. So I really feel bad for the ones who have been having, there have been some that have been having some really horrible storms, not just in Texas, but there's been Oklahoma, Missouri, and all in that area during this spring to summer. There have been quite a few bad storms. I can't tell about that one. We'll see. They sparkle so much that it's sometimes hard to tell whether it's, did I put that in the wrong place? No. Sometimes it's hard to tell whether it's sparkling red or silver. They're so sparkly. I hope you can see that sparkle. Oh, wow. This is exciting too. I'm excited. I'm excited to finish it, and then again I'm not. Have you ever been where you've been working on one and you really enjoy working on it and you hate to finish it because you want to keep working on it? I'm like that with books. Oh, I love to read too. And I love all genres. I can read just about anything. I mean, sometimes I'll be in the mood for a psychological thriller. Other times it might be a love story, not a real gushy one. I'm not into that, or I don't with a whole lot of detail. I don't need that in my life anymore. I already know what happens. And there are times that I like to read mysteries, biographies, autobiographies. Some of my favorite ones, one of my favorite authors that writes historical fiction. Now my mind will go blank. She writes about the Tudor era. My Texas accent's gonna keep me from saying these words like I need to. I need to go back and teach a few classes again so I remember to be more proper. You know, you get to where you just say however you want to say it. My goodness, what is her name? Well, I'll try to remember that for the next time and maybe bring one of the books. But I read her book on Anne Boleyn. It was so good. And I read on Henry VIII and Queen Elizabeth. I enjoyed those. They were historical fiction, but they were based on quite a bit of fact. That's one reason I enjoy her books. She does base a lot of things on facts also. Well, I have this filled with pink wax that I was using on my black ones, and I'm trying to use it as my straightener. Let me get this one right here to straighten them out with. I have a big white one, but I didn't bring it in here. I've been working on this in the other room so that I'll be watching TV and talking with my husband in the evenings when I work on this, usually. And I work on it during the day in that room because when I'm in here, I usually only bring one of my dogs, and they like to be with me. But when I video, I come in this room so that it's a little more peaceful, because if the dog sees something or hears something outside, they are going to start yapping and barking, and you can't hear anything. I just hope Bogey over here sleeping on the couch doesn't all of a sudden hear something and decide to go off on me. You just never know what's going to happen. Makes life interesting, though. Talking about reading the books, I'll have some books that I'm reading that I just really hate to see come to an end. I'm reading The Tuscan Child, I believe is the name of it, by Reese Brown, and it's really good. It goes back and forth in time between a girl and her father. It'll go back into the 1940s and a time that his plane crashed in the Tuscan area of Italy, and how he was hiding out, and a young girl. I have not finished the book, so I'm not sure what's going to happen yet. I mean, I have ideas. This young woman, in the story, from what you can gather, she's probably about 20. And or maybe a little bit older, but somewhere in her 20s, early 20s. And she has a son that is 3. And her husband has been gone for over 3 years. He's never seen their son, didn't know anything about him. He had to leave for the war before she was even able to tell him about being pregnant. So she goes and helps this American soldier. He's hiding out in a monastery, a ruin of a monastery, and he had been shot in the leg, very serious, but he can't see a doctor. He has to rely on her to bring him food and water there for a while, and he for a while it looked like he was going to die. But there's a lot more. I don't want to tell a whole lot of the story. I don't like to ruin stories for anyone. I know I don't like anyone doing that for books I've read. Just kind of give you an overview. But so you'll have some chapters that talk about him, her father, Hugo, and then you have chapters that are in the 1970s, around 1974. And so her father was that English soldier that had crashed. And in the part where you open up in the book, well, not, anyway, he has just died. And his daughter really did not get very close to him. He wouldn't really let anyone close to him. So she's trying to find out what happened in his past, because she never heard anything from him, and he was a very hard man to get close to. So she didn't, she's 25 in the book at this time, and from what you can glean from what you read, they did not have a close relationship, and her real mother died when she was only 11. So it was just her and her dad, and they were not close. She said he was a very hard man, and he always walked with a limp. He never told her anything about his story in the war, having been nothing. So after his death, she inherits a little bit of money, not a lot, but she gets some, and she's trying to find out. She finds out about her dad's first wife, that was an English woman, and she didn't know he had a son with his first wife. She didn't know anything about it. She meets him, and he's real snooty. Somehow her dad had lost all the money. He was very wealthy at one point, and they lived in she never did live in this big house, but her brother did. And when he came, he was thinking he was going to inherit this huge house. Well, it's a girls' school now, so he was not happy, and he said, "You can just have that little bit of stuff that he left. I don't want it." So she took the money. She's wanting to become a lawyer. So she goes to Italy, and she is going through some very interesting situations. She has not found this woman as yet. Not sure if she will. We don't know. Well, I don't know because I haven't finished the book. But it's one of those books that I enjoy, keep reading. I usually read before I go to sleep. It helps me relax. I mean, I'm crafting or doing other things during the day. So it's an interesting book. But I like to read all kinds. Do any of you have any that you've read that have just been outstanding? One of my favorite books has been To Kill a Mockingbird. That, even though I read that when I was a kid, I've reread it. It's such a good book. I really love it. But I've read a lot of different books. I can't even remember all the names of them, but I've read several of Mary Higgins Clark's mysteries. I've read some of Dana Steele's books. And now I cannot remember the one that I like so much. I do not remember. Boy, when I get off of here, I, of course, can remember because I can go get the book and find out. Some of you may know exactly what I'm talking about from what I've said. They are really enjoyable to read if you like historical fiction, and I do. I enjoy historical fiction. I'm not much on... When I was in school, I hated history. I thought it was so boring, and I think a lot of it had to do with the way it was presented to us. So boring, memorizing dates. I didn't care about doing that at all. So, wasn't much of a history buff. Now, my dad was, and oh, he would tell us all kinds of stuff, whether we wanted to hear it or not sometimes. But my dad fought in World War II, and he would tell us stories, but nothing about the action. He didn't really talk about that. That was, I think, a part that they didn't want to think about. He lost many friends, and I'm thankful my dad made it through, but he suffered from PTSD very badly. And the doctor's recommendation back at that time was to go out and drink and have a good time. Yes, that was supposedly the cure for PTSD. It didn't work. And anyone who suffers from that knows that that's not going to work. Different people suffer from PTSD for different reasons. It's not just from war. It's other battles that we fight that are very hard. Okay. Oh, look at that shine. Oh, look at that. I'm so loving this. Oh. Oh, this shine is just fine. Oh, yes. I love it, love it, love it. So if you've read a book that you found to be really interesting, fun read, I'll read books that are just light reading. I'll do some heavy reading. I have, I like Jane Eyre's, all of Jane Eyre. I mean, not Jane Eyre. I love the book. Now I've gone blank. Bronte, Charlotte, one of the Bronte, there was Emily and Charlotte Bronte. But I love both of their books. I've read all of theirs. And I love all of, I love Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, all of that, those books. I have read Gone with the Wind, and it was a good book to read. And the movie follows along with the book pretty close. I do like the movie also. I love Wizard of Oz. One of my favorite movies, and I've mentioned this a long time ago, was The Heiress with Olivia de Havilland. She was fabulous in that. If you have never seen The Heiress, oh, that was so good. I read the book also. It was a book first. That's usually how some of the best movies are, from books. And when you read the book, you find out more information usually than you do in the movie. And sometimes the book and the movie are not exactly the same, because there are some things you cannot put in a movie that you can put in a book. I used to think I wanted to write, but I even took a writing course for a while for adults, but it just wasn't quite my cup of tea, I guess. I couldn't stay focused on just writing about one thing. It's just like when I do my crafts, you know, so I can at least change that around. But writing, you need to stay focused and work on, you know, your plot, whatever it is. And I'd rather just do it in my head. It was harder for me. I didn't really feel like putting it down on paper. I do a lot of things in my head. I have a lot of thoughts that go through my head, and I'll think about them. And I guess I should write it down, but I don't. Usually because there's no pen and pencil at hand. I mean, I could go get one, but if it's not right there, forget it. My daughter, when she was in school, she did some fabulous writing. And when she was in school, she was going in for journalism. She was going to have a journalism major, but she changed her mind. She said, you know, that is such a competitive field that I don't really want to do it. And she changed to science, which has been the right decision, because the position she's in, you have to be able to write and do science. So it was perfect for her, and it's very difficult to find that combination. They couldn't believe that she was a science major but could also write. But she had such an imagination. She doesn't feel like writing now because that's part of her job. She does a lot of editing also, a senior editor for an education company. So writing is the last thing she wants to try to do to relax. She enjoys taking her dogs walking, and they go to Comic-Cons. She and her husband like to go to Comic-Cons and with friends, and A-Cons. I think that's anime. I'm not real sure. And she enjoys going through craft breweries, tasting different craft beers, different things like that. She's more interesting than I am. Here I sit and do this. Oh, I used to do a lot more when I was younger, but now, since my husband's at work and I'm home, when I was teaching, that's what I did all day. And that is a very interesting job. It really is. Do I have any other teachers out there? I know I've had a couple that mention they teach school. I hope you're enjoying your summer. And I know parents, if you have kids at home for the summer, some of you may be ready for summer to be over. I remember having some parents telling me, oh, please, just keep them another day. Yeah, it's a tough job, both parenting and teaching. You're dealing with those young minds. They're very vulnerable. You try to do the best you can for them. And I can't imagine having done anything than what I did. That's what I wanted to do when I was a kid. I'd teach little animals, my stuffed animals, when I was a kid. I always wanted to be a teacher or a nurse. So, and then when I was getting ready to start college, I was thinking about going into music. But the teaching overcame it, because I was thinking, okay, to get into the music field, you really have to have a lot going. I don't know. It was not something I wanted to push myself into doing. I don't know. I was going in for piano because I played piano, but I probably would have ended up wanting to sing, because I love singing. I never did it a whole lot. I didn't find out till later that I could really sing, because I just never did, until I had people telling me that I could sing. When I would sing something, they said, your voice is beautiful. And I've never really felt that way. I mean, I just feel like I'm average, like everybody else. But I've had some people tell me to just break out in song on here, and I will do that one day. You just wait and see. Because I'd just be walking around the house, and I just start singing. I make up songs. I mean, these are songs that just come out of my head, and I just start singing it. The melody, the words, just whatever comes out. Just does. I mean, a lot of times I'll sing songs straight to my dogs. And their names are in it. I love my dogs. I think most people who have animals know that love that you get from them. It's just wonderful. Nothing like the love from your animal, your fur baby, because they're more than people are animals. I just know that if I tell my dogs a secret, they don't tell anybody else. And they also know if I'm upset, they will come and try to comfort me. They don't go and hide and say, "Oh, dear Lord, get over it and get away." They come up there and ready to be close. It's almost like they want to give you a hug. They're so sweet. So it's hard not to just love them like the way I do. When I come home, I may have been just gone 10 minutes. You'd think I was gone 10 years. They're just wagging their tails and so happy to see me. They're all over me. My dogs stay in the house all the time. I have a doggy door that they can get in and out of, but they are in the house all the time. I have smaller dogs. I've had big dogs before, but now I'm more into the smaller ones. They're easier to pick up and carry with you. They're easier to bathe. So I truly love I've had a Great Pyrenees. That's a huge dog. And they have a lot of hair. I've had a Chow Chow. I've had a Schipperke. I've had a Sheltie. I even started doing a little bit of showing dogs when I had my Sheltie. That is a whole story right there. I'll have to remember to tell you some of the fun I had on that journey. Wow. The show world is quite unique, and things happen that you wouldn't believe. The things people do to their dogs to make them look good. Unbelievable. I never dreamed that things like that went on, but I found out different. I didn't do it for very long. It was just, when you have to spend that many hours to get your dog looking, it's like beauty pageants, basically. And I don't know how much dogs enjoy it. If they're raised to do that and they get lots of attention, maybe, but I enjoy going out walking and things like that more. But I gave it a whirl. It was it was a very interesting experience. Some of you may have been through that. Quite different than what I expected. Oh, wow, look at this. Ooh, these roses are going to be dazzling. Oh, yes. And I still can't remember the name of that author. Goodness. She's one of my favorites. I need to go back and reread those books because I haven't read them in years. I'm one of these people, when I read a book, a lot of times I will not pick it up and read it again. I very seldom go back and read a book twice. But those are some that I might, because it's been so long since I've read them. It was before my mom died, so I think I'll reread those. They're really good. Her books are so good, and it would, if I could remember her name, it would be quite impressive of me. I will try to remember to bring it with me the next time I record, so I can show you the books and who the author is. If you're interested in that period of time, I am. I'm fascinated with that time period with the kings and all of the shenanigans that went on. So different than, and I like to read about the Victorian era. You wouldn't think so, saying I don't like history. Well, I like, let's put it this way, I like historical fiction the best. Now, there are some people who can write history to make it interesting, and if it's a period in time I'm interested in, then I'll read it. Otherwise, no. I don't want to read another history book. But most people who write make it more interesting, or most people wouldn't buy the books. Of course, there are people who, I guess, like that kind of thing, and that's fine. Whatever floats your boat is what you should do. As long as you're not hurting someone or yourself, nobody should bother you about it. Now, this is just, ooh, okay, move on over. It's got very good glue. They stick very nicely. Nothing has even acted like it wants to come off at all. Okay, look at that. Let's take a quick little gander at what I have here. Whoops. Oh, just beautiful. Look at the sparkle. And then there's the black, which is fine, because the black is going to make the rest of this pop. Everything else is going to be in crystals. Oh, wow. That's all I can say is wow. I am just thrilled with this. Let me kind of hold it like this. Ooh, yeah. You can see, now you can see the black sparkle too. Just beautiful. I'm going to close this back. Well, I'm going to try to. I said I've been working on this in the other room, but I brought it in here so I could work on this with you guys. Just let me know if there's any other types of things you'd like me to talk about or show. If you're interested in my coloring stuff, I'll be more than happy to show you that because I love it. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye for now. I've been on here almost an hour, so I hope you're enjoying your whatever you're crafting on right now. You have a blessed day. Take care, guys. Love you. Bye.